here are the coolest facts about dolphins. Number 10. Hardcore meat eaters. Dolphins might look like friendly, smart creatures that just smile and play around in the deep blue sea. But make no mistake, dolphins have legendary appetites. In fact, they're known to eat up to 33 pounds of fish per day. As active predators who are distributed in oceans all over the world, dolphins have a very eclectic diet. All kinds of different fish can be on the menu during any given day, but squid and shrimp are among their favorite meals. I mean, who doesn't love shrimp? Given that they eat an obscene amount of fish on a daily basis, it's worth noting that their stomachs are designed for rapid digestion. Some species of dolphins are especially skilled hunters. Take bottlenose dolphins, for example. They hunt in groups, and they'll basically surround a school of smaller fish and take turns diving into them to chow down. Sometimes dolphins will even swim alongside fishing vessels to eat discarded fish. Even though dolphins have plenty of teeth, they don't actually chew their food. Instead, they shake their prey up until a small enough piece breaks off and they just swallow it whole. Ayeeeeee. Number 9. Big brains. It's a pretty well-known fact that dolphins are incredibly smart creatures. Aside from us, no other animal has as complex and as developed of a brain as dolphins do. Much like humans and apes, dolphins can quickly process information, which is quite helpful when a good part of your existence hinges on not getting eaten by other sea creatures. In fact, dolphins have very few natural predators. Their biggest threat are actually humans. Dolphins share many characteristics with us. For example, they're very social and have complex social hierarchies. For these reasons, dolphins have mastered the art of survival and often live very long lives, usually between 40 to 70 years depending on the species. Number 8. Socially aware. So we mentioned how dolphins have big brains and that a byproduct of that evolutionary gift is their ability to form complex social groups. While this isn't uncommon in the wild, dolphins are known to regularly form close bonds with other dolphins, often displaying empathetic behavior. With an almost religious-like devotion, dolphins often band together to hunt, mate, and defend themselves from would-be predators. Their complex social groups are one of the reasons dolphins tend to live as long as they do. I guess strength in numbers really rings true out in the deep blue sea, huh? Dolphins are such social creatures that sometimes pods of multiple dolphin species, which form superpods consisting of hundreds and sometimes thousands of dolphins of different species. Talk about a squad. Number 7. But did they skip leg day? In Kurt Van Gut's 1985 novel Galapagos, the author envisions a dystopian future where human civilization is destroyed and all that remain were a handful of survivors stranded in the Galapagos Islands. A million years later, humans evolved into sea creatures with fins. That seems pretty out there, right? But based on fossil evidence, scientists have determined that dolphins, along with whales, were once actually land creatures. This theory is further backed up by a 2006 discovery where Japanese fishermen found a dolphin with extra fins, which they gave to researchers who believed the fins to be remnants of what were once legs. According to Live Science, scientists have long believed that about 40 million years ago, dolphins roamed the earth. In fact, they share a common ancient ancestor with hippos and deer. As they eventually transitioned and becoming sea-dwelling creatures, their legs eventually disappeared over time. Aside from fossil records, scientists also point to the shape of their skulls, the strength of their bones, and the fact that dolphins have to come up to the surface to breathe as indicators that they were once terrestrial creatures. The slow process of evolution, however, allowed them to adapt to their new environment over time and take on a look more commonly associated with marine life. In the 40 million years since, they've adapted quite well to the ocean. Now they can swim at speeds of up to 34 miles per hour and can catch fast-moving prey. Their thick layers of blubber allow them to keep warm even in cold waters. So, yeah, they've pretty much made themselves at home in the water. Number 6. Super advanced sonar. It probably shouldn't surprise you that dolphins are really good at swimming, right? I mean, they live in the water. It's kind of their thing. But it might surprise you when you find out that they have a built-in sonar system that can rival that of any human-made boat. Also known as echolocation, dolphins use their natural sonar abilities to detect the size and shape of objects that are as far as hundreds of yards away. Supposedly, their echolocation is so precise that they can distinguish between a golf ball and ping pong ball dropping into the water. Seriously? One reason they have superpower hearing is due to the fact that they live under the sea. Water is actually a great conductor of sound. For example, Sound waves travel about 4.5 times faster underwater than through the air. Using these awesome nasal sacs on their heads, they send out these clicks that speed through the water and bounce off the object of interest, which sends a signal back and tells the dolphin what it is. Number 5. Ancient history. So, as we've already established, dolphins were around at least 40 million years ago as land dwellers. Had you been around back then, which you wouldn't have, but if you had managed to encounter a dolphin back then, you wouldn't recognize it. However, human encounters with dolphins as we know them date back to antiquity. Records of dolphins date back to at least the 3rd century BC, when sketches of dolphins were found in the ancient city of Petra. Given that dolphins live all over the world and are widely distributed, it only stands to reason that there'd be a lot of human-dolphin interactions. With that in mind, dolphins have actually played a prominent role in ancient mythology. For example, in Greek mythology, dolphins were always seen as great creatures. Poseidon, the sea god, enlisted their help as messengers and are often depicted alongside him in paintings. Over the centuries, the Greeks continued to hold dolphins in high esteem. If you saw one while out on a boat, it was said to be a good omen. In fact, killing a dolphin was considered an egregious sin. The Romans believed that dolphins transported the souls of dead people to the island of the blessed. Sailors across many different cultures over the years told tales of dolphins rescuing drowning sailors. Even to this day, people still hold dolphins in high esteem. Number 4. Protect the blowhole. So as we all know, dolphins live underwater. No brainer there. And as I've mentioned earlier, that hasn't always been the case. Scientists are generally in agreement that dolphins once walked on land and over time migrated underwater. One of the biggest supporting arguments in favor of this theory, aside from fossil records, is the dolphin's blowhole. You see, their blowhole actually used to be a nose, and it's evolved over time to become a blowhole that sits on top of their heads. Well, this is what they tell us anyways. This evolution happened because they can't actually breathe underwater, and they have to swim near the surface in order to get some fresh air. Thankfully, dolphins carry a lot of red blood cells in their body, which stores plenty of oxygen and allows dolphins to hold their breath for longer periods of time. However, dolphins still have to be super careful. It supposedly only takes 1 tablespoon of water in their lungs to drown them. When they sleep, half of their brain actually stays awake so they can keep breathing. And, oh yeah, they also have to sleep near the surface so their blowholes doesn't get covered with water. Number 3. Pleasure seeking. To put this in the most family-friendly of terms possible, let's just say that dolphins are nature's most prolific pleasure seekers. It's estimated that they spend roughly 80% of their time seeking pleasure. So roughly on par with your average male college student. And while I won't divulge all of the shocking details about how dolphins go about entertaining themselves, let's just say they are remarkably resourceful in this department. Just as a point of reference, some unwilling eels have been involved. They've even been known to have some interactions with humans. In this regard, which again is a crazy thing to know about, basically what happens is that there are people out there who actually, on second thought, let's just move on. Ugh. Number 2, two-headed? There are some rare things out in this great big place we call planet Earth. Purple carrots, auroras, red bananas, fire opals, and let's go ahead and add two-headed dolphins to that list. I mean, have you ever seen a two-headed dolphin? In 2014, one of these rarities was discovered in the Turkish city of Izmir by tourists. They were just hanging out on the beach when this two-headed dolphin washed up on shore. According to National Geographic, it's just the 5th of these guys to ever be discovered and only the 3rd to survive beyond the fetal stage. Now, as you probably guessed, these rare two-headed dolphins are the result of conjoined twins, which is a super rare phenomenon in wild animals. Just as a point of reference, between 1671 and 2006, there were a grand total of 19 recorded cases of conjoined twins in mammals. The rate of conjoined twins in mammals is less than 1%. Since conjoined twins often die in the womb, that number is probably a tad higher, but it's still insanely rare. Scientists still don't know what causes this condition. In their defense, they haven't exactly had a wealth of subjects to study on. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll live in a world where we understand why two-headed dolphins happen. Number 1. There's tons of dolphin species. It might surprise you to learn that there are 38 different dolphin species splashing around in the ocean, including killer whales. Yep, a lot of people forget that these apex predators, also known as orcas, are actually dolphins. The largest ones, in fact. So, while orcas and bottlenose dolphins might be the most well-known, there's lots of others. For example, there's the Chinese white dolphin, the Amazon river dolphin, the long-fin pilot whale, South Asian river dolphin, Hector's dolphin, Indus river dolphin, and the... Hold on, I'm not just going to list all 38 dolphins. But I'm just saying, there are dozens of different dolphin species, and they're all amazing creatures who are fascinating in their own way. Here's what's next. Too long from now. But hey, even with all the disagreements with what exactly happened with this fish, much props to them for swimming around for this long. Number 3. Nautilus. Fossils of early ancestors of the nautilus have been found as far back as 500